What's up, everybody? Sports Keto Wrestling. I am Kev Kelm over there in Nebraska. Mr. Jeremy Lambert, the JB Husker. Follow him on the Twitter machine at JB Huskers. Right? How the Huskies going to do this year?
Oh, the Huskers, I don't know. It's been a 25-year battle for football to get back to relevancy. So it
well, you know what's back to relevancy? I cut you off. I want to ride the momentum right now.
Yeah.
Impact suddenly is the talk of the wrestling world out of nowhere. Impact, the little wrestling engine that could, has been collaborating with AEW for the past few months. And there's been past handful of months, there's been some ups and downs with it. But tonight, the payoff of this whole collaboration has come to a head with Kenny Omega, the AEW World Champion, versus Rich Swann. This is a bigger deal than I think people are giving it. I'm not saying this pay-per-view is going to change the world, but we want to know what you fans think. Who's bringing it home? Because it's winner take all. They've sold this, Jeremy, as someone's leaving with both belts. This isn't going to be the classic wrestling champion versus champion scenario where it's a schmaz and like someone actually doesn't get pinned and there's a count out and no one actually no one leaves with both belts. No, someone's collecting belts tonight. That's the way this has been sold.
Yeah, I think I would say that Impact would lose a lot of brand loyalty if they did some kind of silly finish tonight. So there's gonna be someone walking out with both belts, and I really don't see any kind of scenario how it could be Rich Swann, because I think Kenny Omega is the bigger name, the bigger draw. I think he's already got one of the AAA belts. He's going to become kind of what Austin Aries was a few years ago. He's going to be a belt collector. So
it seems like everyone's saying that this is Kenny Omega's belt to win. He's just there to win the Impact title. And I'm not saying that Kenny's not going to have a fun match. I think he only wrestles a handful of times a year now in terms of singles matches. So it's a big deal when you do get him doing a singles match. And maybe that's the way, the old world champions were treated. You didn't see them all the time.
Nope.
Jonelle Jackson saying, I feel Kenny Omega is leaving with both championships tonight. Some other people feeling that as well. If you're with us live, go ahead. Or if you're with us on demand, go ahead and sound off in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Sports Keto Wrestling on YouTube and on Facebook Watch. You just got to make sure you turn those notifications on so you know exactly when we go live. We will have a rumor roundup about all those different backstage changes in WWE that have been brimming for the weekend. We'll have that on later on today before you even get Rebellion. So keep your notifications on for that. So yeah, it's Omega Swann. Let's just put it out there. What if Rich Swann does the thing that no one thinks he's going to do? You had James Storm. They did the whole vignette here this week where they're talking to all the talent, asking what's going to happen, who's going to win the big match,
Yeah.
And you had James Storm saying, you go to Vegas, you bet on the underdog, so you win big.
Exactly.
Rich Swann is the underdog. Impact is the underdog. That's the way this is played. Kenny Omega is spinning a lot of different plates here. Okay. Over in AEW, he's being terrorized by Jon Moxley yet again. Eddie Kingston, the elite, is a parody of its old self now. They're corrupted with hubris. He's definitely lost himself in his own BS, as some people would say. We already have Nick saying, I hope Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston are there tonight.
Oh, yeah. Because I think
make some changes.
I think they I would love to see them and the Good Brothers mix it up for the Impact tag titles down the line. That would be a lot of fun to see.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how much is Impact benefiting from this?
Yeah,
this has been going on for a handful of months now. We've had some collaborations, sometimes more or less, and a lot of the times you see Kenny Omega on the show, it's maybe he comes in, he cuts a promo, maybe he comes in and I don't think he's had a match on Impact, if I'm correct. He's only done on television.
Yeah, I thought he had one, but maybe yeah.
I'd be slighted in that regard.
You are correct. It's kind of benefiting AEW more. It's actually benefiting the fans because we get to see a cross promotion that we haven't seen in a very long time.
And this is the culmination of it. This is the type of dream match stuff fans wanted from the get-go. And now you're getting it to some degree, but it has to fulfill that promise.
Mm-hmm.
And also just the internalized hype that fans have with something like this. You don't create this thing and not deliver, right?
Yeah, and I completely just do not see a scenario where Kenny Omega doesn't walk out, because I honestly feel like the ultimate end goal on the AEW side of things is Hangman Page is going to take that title from Kenny Omega, not Rich Swann. But on the same token, if Kenny Omega is holding that Impact title, whoever beats him for it on the Impact side, maybe a Trey Miguel, maybe some, they're instantly their stock's gonna shoot to the moon when they beat
Trey
Kenny for the
Miguel.
title.
Thank you for bringing him up. He just did an exclusive interview with us this week. That is available on the YouTube feed. Go talk about it. A lot of talk with him about his mental health state and just dealing with an anxiety disorder and different things he had to deal with going into this stage. His faction mates leaving Impact and going to WWE. Many people think he was going to fall, then he stayed. A lot of tumultuous scenarios with him. And then, Sami Callihan is going to take him on in a last man standing match. So let's get into that. That's on the undercard. I think maybe that's your semi-main right there. I think is going to be a more interesting match.
Yeah.
Who leaves this one? They've been developing this for a while. There's been some good stuff with this feud. There's been some corny stuff with this feud.
Yeah.
Sami Callihan constantly hacking things, which I think is almost a played out thing. It's almost played out that the lights go out and he presses a button on his phone and the lights go out. You think they would figure that out? You think they would figure out that Sami Callihan is hacking their Wi-Fi in Nashville?
Get some better security systems.
Yeah. And he's terrorized Trey Miguel's students, his wrestling students. And they've made this thing personal. Sami Callihan really carrying the personality end of this. I'm not saying that Trey Miguel hasn't displayed that. But this is still an interesting match on paper and a last man standing match as well.
Yeah, and I've really liked the build of this feud. I like the slow build where Sami would just wait backstage as Trey gets out of the arena and just throws jabs at him. And I liked how it started slow and then they really went to blows about a month or two ago. I honestly think this is the way to elevate Trey Miguel, is to have him beat a former world champion in this feud. I don't see a scenario where Sami Callihan exactly wins this match. I think this is the way Impact kind of gives Trey the rub for staying with them. And I honestly think, he got a taste of that title picture, at a couple pay-per-views ago in that 5-way match, and I think they're slowly building him back up to be that one of that top level stars. And I think beating a former world champion tonight is going to do that for Trey Miguel.
Well, if you're a longtime WWE fan the last 10 years, I think you've enjoyed both these men. They've really paved a path online for their own digital content with the Major Figure Pod Brother Network. Brian Myers, Matt Cardona, formerly known as the Edgeheads in WWE, Zack Ryder and the Ilk. And here we are, former best friends, tag team partners, explode in a personal confrontation. They've been building this one for a while. This should feel like a bigger match than it is right now on this card, correct?
Yeah, I think maybe the fans are the fans of those two guys are happy that this is happening on a pay-per-view. Yeah. I think you are correct where it's just like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. That is a big deal. Two lifelong friends clashing at WrestleMania. I think they should have made this a little bigger of a deal. Two lifelong friends clashing at a major pay-per-view. And but I've thoroughly enjoyed Brian Myers. He's done a hell of a job on Impact Wrestling. And
yeah, he's really done some different stuff. The eye patch is off now, which was he was pushing it with that thing. You know what I mean? We can see your eye underneath there. It's more of an eye bandana at this point.
Yeah.
Anyone wearing an eye bandana out there, hit the like button. So
wasn't there some other wrestler that did the eye patch gimmick a few years ago? I'm trying to think of who did.
PCO did some eye patch stuff for a while, right? No, over when he was in WWE for a bit.
Yeah.
We have more people chiming in about the main event, Omega versus Swann, still the conversation, so you guys can still join us here. Rich C saying Omega, but not a clean win, which ups the feud between the companies. Do they need to do more AEW versus Impact collaboration? Because it's really just AEW and Impact. The only really Impact guys we see over on Dynamite on Wednesday nights on TNT are the Good Brothers.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly is going on, and maybe things changed with the Sammy Guevara situation, and where there was supposed to be, more of a crossover, but then Sammy, the whole Sammy incident happened a few months ago, and maybe that kind of cooled down towards just doing the main event picture.
Yeah, which is basically he wasn't particularly happy with what the creative they were going to have him go do in his residency as an AEW guy in Impact, and on his way to Nashville to tape the show, he turned around and went home. So
yeah, I think he was supposed to be in the X Division title picture, but then lose. So, which is not a bad thing. That's a hell of a division, especially with the guys they have in there now.
All right, 6-man action. Violent by Design, which I think is a faction that they've kept fairly strong here, led by Eric Young with Rhino and a team of very, very brutal men taking on Storm, Sabin, Edwards, and Willie Mack. This seems like a catch-all of all the different talented people in Impact who don't have any individual feuds at the moment.
Yeah, Violent by Design has been a pretty good faction. I think Diener has really benefited by it. I think he's had some good matches. But yeah, it's kind of been like, let's just interchange some people and have a feud with, our whole faction against 4 good guys. And then all of a sudden, you throw Sabin and Storm in there as they made the save a week or two on Impact. And it's going to be a good match, just nothing, it's one of those classic, all right, we don't have a huge build. They're just basically guys been fighting the whole time, and they're going to come on Sunday night and probably give us a hell of a show.
X Division title. They love themselves a triple threat with the X Division title, and we're getting one tonight. Ace Austin, who I think is a very underrated homegrown talent for Impact. He is the current reigning XD champion right now. Another hot prospect who's mainly been seen as an Impact guy is Josh Alexander, TJP, one of the most world-traveled wrestlers, I think, who's just been everywhere. He's been absolutely everywhere in wrestling. So you get a who's who in this match, and I think this is a match where both guys seem worthy of the title shot. It has Impact's classic fingerprints all over it. And I think on a show where maybe some new fans may be checking it out because they know they're getting the title versus title match. And this seems like a match that an AEW fan, if they were seeing Impact for the first time, would be like, ooh, okay, I know some of those guys. I've heard of some of those guys, right?
It's like guarantees in life, death, and taxes, and the X Division delivers on a pay-per-view, because I've not seen a bad X Division pay-per-view match in a long time. And I think this is another scenario where we're going to get a treat tonight. Josh Alexander's been on fire ever since the North broke up and Ethan Page went to AEW. Josh Alexander has had match of the night on Impact many times. I think he's going to leave as the champion tonight because of the job he's been doing ever since he's gone solo.
I'm going to highlight this super chat. Thank you to Sam texting this one in. Will Impact Wrestling Rebellion be an awesome show to spend $50 to order? That's something fans got to talk about. With WWE, we're now conditioned well over 7 years now into the subscription pay window, similar to what you're doing with Netflix, HBO Max. A lot of people talking about Mortal Kombat over the weekend. I know a lot more people probably went and saw Mortal Kombat than maybe would see it in the theater. Now that it's available, you can go see it in the theater, but most people are going to see it in HBO Max. So we're now moving into that digital subscription. Give me 1 month charge, and I get whatever I want out of that service. You still have a lot of different things, like those Triller fights, and you can get WWE on pay-per-view. Most people don't. Where you see AEW and Impact now on the outside saying, no, it's the big premium event. You pay the big money price. Do you think that's a hill that some fans are going to have to climb now?
Yeah, it's the thing is, it's not as often. AEW does it 4 times a year. Impact at the $50 price point, I think they only do it for maybe a maximum of 5 times per year, with the rest of the pay-per-views being on Impact Plus, which is $8 a month, which is, not a bad deal. If you're a fan of Impact, you get to watch the Impact Plus pay-per-views that they put on, plus everything.
And this show will be on there.
Yeah,
I don't know the exact turnover in terms of time of how soon this show will be on Impact Plus, but I would assume probably a week or so. So I mean, we don't quote us on that, but I do know they do a pretty good job with it. And from what I'm told, Impact Plus is a pretty reliable service. The interface is pretty good. It works on most devices. I do the old reliable HDMI to the TV thing. I know some people are like, what about my Fire Stick and this and that? Fight TV, which is going to present this event tonight. I can tell you, maybe a little bit of bias, I will be on Fight TV with AEW on May 7th. It is a very reliable service.
There you go. Yeah,
it is. They have proven themselves to be very reliable for pay-per-view. So if you're going to put your money down and you feel like this is an event that sells you on it, and by the way, when I checked Fight TV, it was $39.99. So maybe it's a little bit cheaper than some people are thinking. I know that price can sort of change country to country.
Yeah.
So especially for a fan or an international fans, different time. Is this something worth doing? And also, I mean, if you love Impact and you think they are the little engine that could, support them and put your money down, man.
Yeah,
really, and that does mean something.
As someone following Impact, I think top to bottom, it's a tremendous card. So I think this is one of the better pay-per-view cards that they've put together, just because I think every match tonight feels like it could deliver.
Thank you for Sam for that super chat. We'll still get your questions on screen here as we're rolling through the card. Impact Rebellion tonight, AEW versus Impact. Will it live up to the hype? I think there's a lot of 50-50 doubt about this, but it's still intriguing because we're talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Kirk says Impact is giving AEW way too much. Both should be equal payoffs. Impact will get screwed way too much tonight. I think some people are leaning into that, where Impact is just like, we get the rub of having the big name come over and do our show, the hot name in Kenny Omega. And you have some other people saying that, Kenny Omega's not a big name. He's not as living up to the hype. So there's a lot of debate here. And we have people even saying, is it worth the money? With Impact, there's always this air of they have to break a doubt. There's been so air of doubt about them. And I still think they're trying to clean the sins of the past and present it as this revived brand. Am I correct? They're still in that process.
Yeah, and I think over the past year and bringing in some of the WWE guys has really helped it at all. Like I said, Brian Myers has done a tremendous job. Heath was, unfortunately, things injury wise have kind of taken a toll on Heath, but and then of course Good Brothers coming over has really helped that tag division. And so, it's been a better product over the past year, and I think we're seeing kind of the culmination of it with what they've put together tonight. I honestly think it is worth the $40, where sometimes I've seen an Impact card and say no.
Yeah, I'll wait.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll catch it on Impact Plus. Like,
yeah,
maybe you're like, oh, it's a good show. I don't feel I have to watch it live, especially when you have all these options now. With an on-demand service. Let's get into the tag team picture here. Impact Rebellion. It will feature an Impact tag team title match. The Good Brothers dropped these belts in shocking fashion to New Japan Pro Wrestling Crossovers Finn Juice, the son of Fit Finlay. And one Juice Robinson here, David Finlay, taking on Carl Anderson and the Big LG. The Good Brothers have been all over the place, playing a little bit of goofier characters of themselves on AEW when they're over there, but have gotten slightly more serious on Impact recently.
Yeah, and I honestly think this has been a true battle of up and coming New Japan stars against that established team that's won multiple tag titles, and that was a hell of a surprise when Finn Juice defeated them. I think, though, they're going to give us a hell of a match here, but I don't see a situation where the Good Brothers don't get those titles back tonight, because I think, for one, everybody in that whole elite circle is going to be having gold right now. Who doesn't?
You can't be in that club without a belt.
Who doesn't have gold right now? Well, besides Don Callis, but the Good Brothers don't have gold right now. So they're going to take that AEW Dynamite stage on Wednesday. Everybody's going to be holding gold. They're all going to be bragging about it. So, and Finn Juice is probably heading back to Japan. So it's time for them to end this, which has been a really fun rivalry between those two teams.
We already have questions about this. Obviously, the big WWE releases a few weeks ago. One of those names is synonymous with Impact TNA Wrestling, and that would be Samoa Joe. Does he make an appearance tonight? I'm going to say contractually, most likely that is not going to happen.
Yeah, I think he's still under the 90 days.
Yeah, unless this is just my dealings with people that have been under WWE contracts. If you get released, you're likely under a 60 to in most cases, especially for talent, a 90-day non-release clause, which doesn't allow you to be on any digital televised event. Now, if there were live wrestling events that were independent and they weren't televised, they were you could just see clips or something on social media, those talents could be there and could do those events. That isn't happening right now with the pandemic scaling out. By the time in July, though, that could happen. You could see a lot of these guys, touring with your AAWs, with your PWGs, your different independent groups across the continental United States or internationally. Right now, that isn't the case. And the time just doesn't allow Samoa Joe to do that. We already have some people asking about Awesome Kong, who I believe still has a role with AEW off screen. She is synonymous with TNA and Impact in her past there. I don't know her role. Her role was definitely deeply reduced, and we have not seen her on television nearly a year. with AEW, though I do believe the last I heard, she still has a role with the company. And she was still hoping to do another season of Glow on Netflix, though that's been called off because of the pandemic. So I don't know her status at the moment. Running down the rest of the card, this is an exciting addition. Mauro Ranallo, former NXT SmackDown announcer, is going to bring his Mamma Mia's to the main event. He'll be calling the main event here with Swann and Omega. How much sauce does this add to this pay-per-view for you?
Oh man, it's already a title versus title cross promotional main event.
Yeah.
And now you got one of the best play-by-play guys in all of combat sports, let's just say, because whatever he does, it just brings he brings an energy that is really unmatched with anybody in the world today. And so I think it's a big deal, and looking forward to it. And hopefully this leads to him coming back to wrestling only if he wants to, because, obviously there's been some certain circumstances where it's led him away from wrestling, but man, it's going to be so good to hear him call a wrestling match again.
Sound off on that if you're looking forward to hearing Mauro Ranallo call wrestling again. For the women, a busy night. Impact Knockout Tag Team titles. Jordynne Grace has been trying to get these straps from Fire and Flava for quite some time. She'll be joined by a second-generation superstar, Rachel Ellering, who came to her rescue this week. Jazz out of the picture. Jazz has retired. Jazz was with Jordynne Grace here for a while, was with her in the tournament to win these belts. Fire and Flava got those belts. This was a hot team, Fire and Flava, and they've gotten more progressively ridiculous mid-card Healy in recent weeks. They had that weird celebration thing that was supposed to be like Firefest, and it was sort of just like a comedic dud. It just didn't work. I get what they were going for. I applaud them for trying something different. And Impact has tried a lot of different things with their mid-card talent that are in the ring by having them play secondary comedic characters, which I think is a great way to include people on the show. But sometimes these things haven't hit. And then you have Jordynne Grace, who's this wonderful powerhouse, having to play this game with these people. I think this is a slightly more serious, old school way of someone's actually going to fill this slot for me, and maybe I get those belts off. Something makes me think Grace and Ellering get these titles.
I think with as many times as she's had a chance at this with Jazz and just coming up, I thought they were going to get a run with those tag titles at some point. It does feel like that, just because it's kind of like the Apollo Crews Big E thing. He's faced him so many times. Eventually, he's going to come out on top. So I think I agree with you on that. Where I think eventually it's finally come to the point where she's going to finally get over that hump and defeat them tonight.
Also in women's action, it will be an interesting match here. Tennille Dashwood, formerly known as Emma in WWE, has embraced this supermodel social media influencer character. And obviously was a big part of WWE's women's evolution. And she even stated to the current Impact Women's Champion, Deonna Purrazzo, someone who was with WWE for a cup of coffee as well, that you are only here because I put you here. It's a weird scenario. The build to this one, I think, is the lightest. It doesn't have the most under it. And you think you should be excited for someone who's a former breakout of that first class of NXT when they became their own real brand, against Deonna Purrazzo, who was also a big NXT prospect, now over an Impact, that we'd finally have something special. But the thing is, Tennille Dashwood has been playing one of these comedic, lighthearted characters for quite a while here, that it's almost hard to take her challenging Deonna pretty seriously, because Deonna's gone through everybody they have.
Yeah, and it's kind of odd to get behind this, because it's a heel versus heel type of thing.
And the match can be great. Don't get me wrong. The match can be great, but I'm trying to find the story here. I'm trying to find the story in it.
It was weird when she won on that last Impact Plus special, that she won the #1 contendership, because it's heel versus heel. So I thought, okay, maybe Tennille and Caleb turned face. I could kind of see.
But they haven't done that.
They haven't. No.
They're still talking trash, calling people ugly, saying like we're cooler, like our stuff on Instagram.
It's been a weird whole thing ever since she won the #1 contendership. I'm happy, because Tennille definitely deserves to be at the top of the card in the Knockouts division. Deonna's just been on a whole nother level herself. So I fully expect Deonna to retain tonight.
So that is Impact Rebellion tonight on pay-per-view with Fight TV. Keep an eye on sportskeeda.com for all the big news that could possibly come out of that. Are we going to see someone with both the straps at the end of the night? Something makes me think we will, and maybe it won't be the underdog. We're all leaning towards Omega being the safer bet. But hey, shocking things have happened, and AEW and Impact are fond of doing things that are shocking and getting people talking. So I do think there will be some newsworthy things coming out of this show tonight. We will have a rumor roundup for you later this afternoon. So once again, tons of content. Vince Russo with us every single Monday night on Legion of Raw. Friday night, Smack Talk with Dirty Dutch Mantel. He was over an hour and 10 minutes. Great stories, great insight into what's going on with Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. A whole lot of content, news roundups every single day, exclusive interviews. Turn those notifications on, Jeremy. They know. You know, Jeremy.
Oh,
they
yeah.
can follow you on the Twitter machine. Tell them where to go, Jeremy.
I'm at JB Huskers there. Give me a follow there. Let's talk some wrestling.
You can follow me on the Twitter machine at Kev Kellam. That's KEVKELLAM. I will be on Fight TV with AAW Take No Prisoners. That'll be available for $13. So you can get that for $13. Coming up Friday, May 7th. You want to take a little skip away from SmackDown, go over to Fight. And of course, check out Sportskeeda Wrestling. Get the app available in the Apple Store and Google Play on your mobile device for everything going on in the world of wrestling. You don't have to Google. You just need your Sportskeeda. I get it. You see what I did there? See,
Good rhyme in there.
Thing.